We're going to write equations of a line. This is called the point slope formula. Point slope formula. And the only reason that you need to know that name of this formula is because your instructions may say, use the point slope formula to find the equation of line. And so you won't get bogged down by going, oh my gosh, I don't know what the point slope formula is. That's what this is. It's the point slope formula for finding the equation of a line. Don't have to memorize that, but you have to know that's not a deal breaker. That's what this is called. And any instructions that tell you to find the equation of a line, you're going to use this formula. No matter the different information that they give you in order to write the equation of line, it doesn't matter what they give you. You'll be able to use this no matter what. Everybody understand? Okay, so if you've got that written down in your notes, then I'm going to put this higher up and show you how to use it. We're going to actually do number 1 off your worksheet. This is the worksheet we are on. It's page 8, the last page in this packet that we've been working on. Notice the instructions, find the equation of a line. If you see that, you know we're going to use this point slope formula. Find the equation of a line. It doesn't matter what they give you to work with. You can still use this. So this is the one we're going to do. Now we know when we have variables in something, then we have to get those values from somewhere. Yes?
Why is there like little comments about the line? They're ones.
They're
Oh, they're
ones. Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks for asking, because sometimes my ones look.
Mhm.
Yeah. All right. And number 1 on your worksheet gives you this information to work with. It says the line that I want to write the equation will go through these points if I graphed it on a graph. Now y'all know to check me and make sure that I wrote the numbers right, okay? Let me know. We're going to use this because we want to write the equation of line. Now, let me explain this. This y that does not have a number, you know, we're really used to 2s and 1s, you know, but this one doesn't have a number at all. That means that it stays a y. It will stay that letter. Same thing with this x here. It doesn't have a number, so it's going to stay a letter all the way to the end. The y here and the x here come from either one of these. Does not matter which one. But if you start in one of the points, you have to use it all the way. You can't use an x1 here and then use this for y. Do you see what I'm saying? So it's probably a good idea to go ahead and do what you've always done. Make these the 1s and the 2s. Okay, which means probably won't use the 2s right now. Little secret, you are going to use them in a minute. Okay, so we're going to fill out everything we know and put it in this formula right here. So we said the y stays a y minus y1. Notice that it's a -7 equals, did they give us a slope? You know, m is the slope. They didn't give us a slope. But if we have 2 points, do we know how to find the slope? Say yes.
Yes.
Yes, we've done this. Okay, we've done this week. Here is the formula for that. Remember this one? Remember that? Say yes.
Yes.
Okay. We've done this some in this worksheet, okay, in this packet, to find the slope. Okay. Since this formula does not give us the slope, now sometimes they'll give us the slope in here. This time it didn't. So we have to make a side trip over here for a minute, find out what the slope is, and then we'll come back to our original equation here.
-4.
Oh, good. I haven't done it yet. So m equals y2, 9 minus y1, -7, over x2, -6 minus -4. All right. And so we have, this makes a plus. Two negatives together make a plus. Can you see, Christine?
No.
No, you said
Oh.
over -2. Do you see because the minus and negative, Brandy? On top?
Yeah, I was trying to figure out where you got that, but it's the y1, y2, x2, y2 is how you got those.
Yes, that's where I got those.
Yeah.
Okay. I used my y2s and all of these in my slope formula. And I was very careful to use this minus and the negatives. Okay, so again, here come your negatives again, always. Two negatives together make a plus. Negative and positive, you think subtract, give the sign of the largest number. And now when we divide, our answer is going to be a -8. 16 divided by 2 is 8, and it has a negative on it. Now, that's not the answer to this problem. That's the answer to what I put in for M. I'm here now. Okay? Since they didn't give it to me, I'm going to figure it out myself. Now, remember the x that does not have a number stays an x minus x1. Right here, -4. So immediately before I go to the next step, look at all those. Kind of confusing. But these two negatives together make a positive. And these two negatives together make a positive. Get that stuff out of the way. Now to solve this, we simply do math. And math says to do the parentheses first. So I'm going to have to do this and this. I have to get that all multiplied out. This is an invisible 1. So -8 times 1 is -8x. -8 times a +4 is a -32. Now that side's all multiplied out equals y plus 7. Now the equation of a line, we want it equal to y, just like always, okay? And so the only thing I have left to get the y by itself is to get rid of the 7. Are you with me? Yeah, okay. -7, I'll go here, and -7 here. So now I have y equals -8x minus 39. This is the equation of a line that if you plotted these points, it would go through these points. Yes.
Why did you put -39? Isn't it 32 minus 7?
Whenever you're adding, see, we're adding straight down. So when you're adding two negatives, you just have a bunch of negatives. So I had 32 of them here, and then I added 7 more of those negatives to the pile. So now I have 39 negatives. Okay.
That's not minus.
Minus and negative act the same way. Okay. Oh, I don't know why I was doing this. I was going to check the answer and make sure I did everything correctly. Negative 8x minus 39. Okay. And I know this is the very first time you've seen this. So now that you've seen it, take a big deep breath and let it soak in. And let's do another one. Looks like a lot of scribbling up there, doesn't it? Do you have any with fractions on this? Good. Okay. Everybody have this down? Josh, Doris, are you okay with the first time through?
I'm okay.
Josh?
Yes, I'm good.
Great. That's really good to hear. And here we're almost there. Okay. Yeah. It's okay. We'll do some more, Brandy.
Okay.
Yeah. Kind of. Okay. I'm going to make this one up so you know that you can do the equation of a line no matter what you're given.
And we have to do this step through both of them, right?
Yes, because if they don't give you what the slope is, then you can't use this formula without putting a number in here. Okay?
I know, I guess it's better if you don't want to tell them because this is confusing.
Just stay with me, okay? Okay, we want the equation of a line that goes through, let's just make up some numbers. -1, 4, and 2, 7. Probably will have some fractions in it, but we're not scared of fractions, right? We have x and y, x and y. Now again, I'm going to tell you that these can be your ones to go in here, or these can be your ones. Let's make these be our ones this time. You will get exactly the same answer no matter which set of points you use. Okay? You have to have the 2 points though to figure out the slope that we did. So we're going to start copying this down. And when we get to one of these, we're going to put the value in. So it says to write down a y because that never changes, minus y1. Y1 is 7 this time, equals, and when we get here, got to take a side trip, right? Because they did not tell us what the slope is. So I'm going to have to go over here and find out what the slope is. This is also on your formula chart, I'm pretty sure. So I use all of these numbers and put them where they're supposed to be. Slope equals y2 is 4 minus y1, 7 over x2 is -1 minus x2, no, x2 minus x1, sorry, is 2. Hey, I did a really good job on this one. Okay, so 4 minus 7 is a -3. Here are 2 negatives, Christina. We're putting 2 negatives together. I had a -1. I have some more negatives here, so I have a -3. Look at that. Okay, and if we simplify that, then
It's a 1.
yes, it's +1. So my slope in this case is a +1. Couldn't be any better. So when I get to the slope, I have found out what the slope is. I bring it back here. X stays an X minus whatever X1 is. All I have to do is solve it now that I've got everything in my equation up here. Okay, So first of all, I have to take care of the parentheses. So now I have x minus 2 because it's 1x. 1 times x, 1 times a negative 2 equals y minus 7. In order to get my equation of a line, and they like it in slope-intercept form. So that means we're going to solve for y. And the equation of this line is y equals x plus 5. That's the equation that creates a line that will go through these 2 points on the graph. This will make a line. Someday I'll bring my graphing calculator and show you how this works. You just type this into the graphing calculator, and sure enough.
Is that a plus under the 7?
It is, because
No,
the 7 is bigger.
No, on top. No, not on top. Right there, like to the side, to your left, right there.
This was a minus, and so I had to plus it to get rid of it. Yes, this is a plus and a plus. Is that what you were asking? Because this one's a minus, correct? Are we good? Is it a little bit better going through this time? Okay. How about we don't wait for the graphing calculator? We know how to graph this line from yesterday. Let me remind you, whenever we have it solved for y, we have to find the slope. And we know what the slope is, right? What is it?
X.
It'll be a number.
Oh, Y. 1.
1, and we know it's rise over run. Okay? Right? The slope, I'm going to find the slope and the y-intercept like we did yesterday. And so here's my 1 right here. So 1 is the slope. Y equals mx plus b. And since it's 1, my slope has to be a fraction, so I put it over 1. The y-intercept is 5, right? Okay, and I heard that back there. Sorry for not acknowledging you. And using what we got from yesterday, we're going to graph this line. So we found out yesterday that when we graph a line, we do the y-intercept first. Remember, I live on the y-axis. This is where I be. Okay, so I'm going to find 5 on the y-axis. This is my house. From my house, I'm going to rise 1 and run 1. Rise 1, run 1. You can do it again if you want. Doesn't matter how many points. Okay, and this is the line that you just found the equation for. It goes through -1, 4, -1, 4. See, there's that point that we worked with. And 2, 7. I know there's a lot. This is all you're going to need to do today. You don't have to do all of the graphing. We did that yesterday. The reason I did this is to show you that when I type this into like a graphing calculator, this will create this straight line that goes right there. It will go through that point and that point. They're sort of grinning at me, y'all, but it's not a big grin yet. It's okay, I'll tolerate you today. Let's do one more. I lost Josh. Lost him. Sorry, the slope stuff wasn't there, Doris. There it is now.
Are you doing the 1x?
Show me.
You're doing the
Distributed property.
yes. Where your little arrows are?
Yes.
Are you starting from the 1?
Yes.
and going to the X and then from the 1 to the 2.
Yes,
Okay,
-2.
okay.
So you're okay with this?
Yeah,
Sort of. That's the first thing that you have to do because you can't add or subtract anything to this because you can't go up into a set. So you've got to get rid of this, the parentheses, and let them come out. Do you see? Is that Jesus? Good. I'm going to show you a different type. I got your message. Come on up. I'm going to show you a different type, and then we'll go back and do one more of these, and then I'm going to have you try on your own. I'm making this one up too. This is your packet from yesterday that they were printing for you, your practice packet. And we're in the packet number 3 from yesterday. Okay. Your plans kind of changed this morning, huh?
Oh, I'm so tired, bro.
That's okay. You can deal with it. Okay, I'm making this up, and this time, what they're saying to you is all right, this time, they didn't give you 2 points. They said, I want you to write the equation of a line that goes through this point on the graph and has this slope. So this time they gave you the slope. You don't have to find it. You see? Yes, sir. A, the very last one. And this is a made up one. So we're going to, this is X and Y, and since we only have 1 point, then these are the ones. Fill this in, the Y stays a Y, minus Y1 equals, now they gave us the slope, we don't have to go over there and find it. 2/3, and then I open parentheses, the X stays an X, minus whatever X1 is, -6. Are we okay with filling it out? And then all we have to do is the mathematics here. And the first thing we have to do is take care of the parentheses. We're going to do that by using our distributive property again. And the 2 negatives makes a positive. All right. So Y minus 3 equals 2/3 X, 2/3 times 6. You'll probably use your calculator, but 2/3 times 6 is 4. So I have 2/3 times 6, and in your calculator, you will get 4. Josie, you got 4, right? Okay, good. And then they usually want the ending equation to be in slope-intercept form, which means I'm solving for Y. So I have to get rid of the 3. I'm going to add 3 here and add 3 here. Did Josh try to come back in? So now I have Y equals 2/3 X plus 7. And that would be the equation of a line giving, if they give us this information. So sometimes they will give you the slope. Sometimes they won't give you the slope, but now we know how to find the slope. Yes? And I think the problems on this page 8, all of them, you're going to have to find the slope. I don't think they give it to you on this page. Okay? But this is what you do here. Now I want you to look at the bottom of page 8 because it's a little bit different and it may throw you. Okay, so look at the last one on page 8. And it's worded a little bit differently, but we're going to do the same thing. Okay, this very last one. find the equation of a line that cuts the x-axis at x equals -6 and the y-axis at y equals -4. So what? Cuts? That means intersects. And we talked about intercepts, x-intercepts. So I'm going to give you a visual here first to show you what to do with that page or that number there at the bottom. It still wants to find the equation of a line, okay? So you're still going to use this formula, but so far as you know, they haven't given you any points yet. But since you know about intercepts, x and y intercepts, let's look at it. So it says this line, and they just named the line U. Don't let that bother you. They just named it. It cuts across the x-axis. This is the x-axis at -6. So there's one of the points. And it cuts across the y-axis at -4. So there's the other point. So they actually did give you some points, but you have to know what the coordinates are of those points. So let's look at them. You guys know how to figure this out. If I'm going to figure out the coordinates of this point, oops, poor Doris, sorry. All right. This is the -6 where it cuts the x-axis, Doris, and this is where it cuts the y-axis at -4. Now, in order to use this formula, you have to know the coordinates, so we will have some points to work with. Y'all okay with this? Okay, and remember, when we plot points, we've got to find the address of this point. So this says, how far did I go on the x-axis? Start here.
-6,
I went -6.
0.
0, very good. -6, 0 is the address of this point. Now, this is the x, this is the y, so it says, how far did I go on the x-axis to get here?
Negative,
How far?
0.
I went
Zero.
to-
-4.
And then -4. So my 2 points that I'm going to try to write the equation of a line are these 2 points. So let's go back over here. And the 2 points that I'm going to use are, do you see how I figured out what they are? It said it cuts the x-axis and it cuts the y-axis. So here are the 2 points. They just put it in a different wording. But
So like
you,
basically you would just put the 0 where the 4 would be and the 0 and 6 would be.
yes, whenever there's a point on an axis, there's going to be a 0 somewhere. Okay? All right, so here we go. One more time using this formula. We have x1, x2, y1, x2, y2. We're going to start just following this pattern. So we have a y that stays a y, -0 equals, and they did not give us a slope, right? So we have to take a side trip and find the slope. Slope equals y2 is -4 minus y1 is 0. x2 is 0 minus a -6. We have -4 over a +6, which gives us a -2/3 for our slope. So here where we need slope for our equation, we have negative 2/3. X stays in X because it doesn't have a number on it, minus, what's X1? -6. This becomes plus. Y minus 0, we don't even have to get rid of anything because it's just 0. So we have y equals. And now we're going to do my distributive. You could have done the distributive property first, which probably would have been a good idea. -2/3 x minus, because it's a negative times a positive makes a -4. If you do this on your calculator, -2/3 times 6, you should get a -4. Since y is by itself, you're finished. Y'all see it? Okay. How about we graph this and see how close it gets? This takes yesterday's lesson. I need out of this formula here, out of this equation, I need you to tell me what is the slope and what is the y-intercept. What's the slope?
-2/3.
Good. This is where I'm getting it. The m is the number in front of the x. So -2/3. It also happens to be over there where we found it. And the b, you use the sign with it. So the b is a -4. We found out yesterday, if we just know these two pieces, then we can graph this line. And I'm going to leave the points that we already had and see how this works out. So where I B is -4, which is a good thing, okay? And then it says the rise is a -2, 1, 2, and the run is 3, 1, 2, 3. So there's a point. I can actually do the slope again. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. I can do it as many times as you want to because all of the points will be on the same line. See? A linear equation. The points will always be on the same line no matter what you do. If you've got one, Jesus had one yesterday that was like over here. And he said, what? This one was wrong. And he had to go back and look at the math. Open your eyes or stand up. One more thing I would like for you to notice here. What type of slope is this? Starts high, goes low. Starts high, goes low is a negative slope. Look at the slope. Negative slope. Those have to match too. What do y'all think? You think you can try it?
I think I'm tired.
You know that I'm here and you can ask questions. Okay? No whining. It's Friday. You only have to stay till 11:30.
11:30?
11:30 on Fridays.
I didn't know that. Which one did I like?
Doris, do you have any questions?
No, ma'am, I don't have any question.
So you're okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And so
I want to go.
I will be